So, you may have heard the latest news that the Formula One design legend, Adrian Newey, might be leaving Red Bull after 18 years with the team. In this video, I'll explain why this will not be a game changer and why Red Bull will still remain at the top for seasons to come. Before I get into that, just a quick reminder to help support this channel by hitting the like and subscribe buttons below. All done? Thanks. Now let's get started. So on Thursday, news broke that Red Bull's chief designer, Adrian Newey, is planning on leaving the team. No one is quite sure why, but there's been rumors he's received a huge offer from Aston Martin. Although a lot of fans are excited by the prospect of the legendary designer joining another team and Red Bull having a challenger in the future, I'm not so enthusiastic. Why, you may ask? Well, because personally, I don't believe Red Bull's performance advantage is mainly due to their aerodynamics. This is because Red Bull have a relatively recent history of throwing out misdirections to hide the reasons for their performance gains. The Austria and Styria races in 2021 are a good example of this, where team principal Christian Horner claimed the massive performance advantage they had there was because of a new rear wing when in actuality it was due to a not-so-above-board reliability update to their Honda engines. But now we're in 2024 and Red Bull seem to have a performance advantage that doesn't seem to be getting any smaller. In fact, it may actually be increasing. Attributing all this to the technical genius of Adrian Newey may just be a diversion tactic to get their competitors to look for answers in the wrong places. So where should people be looking? Well, to answer this we need to go back to the 2022 season and the Singapore race to be more specific. Most of us can remember the 2022 season well. From the very first race, Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc were battling it out on track for race wins, and it looked like fans were going to get a continuation of 2021, but without all the toxicity. It was the stuff dreams are made of. Fans thought the good times were here to stay, and from now on we'd have close racing for championships till the next set of regulation changes. F1 and Ross Brawn's grand plan to bring fans close racing had worked, or so we thought, because come the very first race after the summer break, any hopes of close racing for the rest of the season began to look bleak as Max Verstappen took pole in Spa by 0.632 seconds. The outcome of the race was even worse for fans hoping for a close fight as Verstappen, having started from 14th place, finished in first place with the second-place driver, fellow Red Bull teammate Sergio Perez, more than 17 seconds behind. Now some fans may put Red Bull's performance advantage at Spa down to the fact that the circuit is a power track that favors cars with better straight-line speed, such as the Red Bull. But this advantage even carried over to tracks where, theoretically, racing should have been a lot closer, and even possibly Ferrari should have had the advantage. So this brings me on to the Singapore race in 2022. Now this should have been one of those races that made fans wonder if something strange was going on, because it had that effect on me. This time we had a close battle for the win between Sergio Perez and Charles Leclerc, with Perez leading and Leclerc chasing. Towards the end of the race, after the last safety car, Leclerc was around 2 seconds behind Perez. However, race control had noted that Sergio would be investigated after the race for a safety car infringement, so a potential 5-second penalty was looming. With 10 minutes and 30 seconds of race time left, Sergio Perez's engineer Hugh Bird gets on the radio and tells Checo that he's under investigation for a safety car infringement that will be investigated after the race and he should disappear. It's at this point that Perez proceeds to set fastest laps of around 1 minute and 48 seconds and extends his lead from Leclerc by another 5 seconds before the end of the race. The confidence with which Perez's engineer told him to disappear implies that he knew the Red Bull car had much more performance at its disposal that Sergio could use. Remember, this isn't Verstappen I'm talking about here, it's Perez who'd been miles off the pace all season. So for his engineer to have any type of confidence that he could just disappear from Leclerc is absolutely telling about the performance advantage of the Red Bull car at Singapore. So was Perez sandbagging and driving within himself? If he was, I'm guessing Charles Leclerc would have noticed and quickly decided whether his own pursuit for the win at Singapore was futile or not. It's probably likely a turn of a switch, or the pressing of a button on the steering wheel allowed Perez to unleash more performance from the Red Bull car. Anyway, the performance gains Red Bull found over the summer break gave Verstappen easy races for the rest of the 2022 season, with Leclerc resigned to no longer fighting for race wins but battling against Perez for who would finish runner-up in the championship. Now, how did Red Bull find the performance advantage they had after the summer break of the 2022 season? The narrative at the time was that Red Bull had reduced the weight of the car, and this, along with some other aero developments, led to their increased performance. However, in a recent interview in 2024, Dr. Helmut Marko said Red Bull did not, in fact, reduce the car's weight after the summer break. So the weight reduction narrative was again one of Red Bull's misdirections. Given the battle Red Bull were in during 2021 and where they started in 2022, I believe their huge jump in performance wasn't even due to aero. As Toto Wolff pointed out during the season, the Red Bull's ride height was greater than every other team's and allowed them to incorporate a similar type of high rake slope of the underfloor that they had before the new ground effects regulations. I believe in 2022 Red Bull employed the same tactics they used in 2021 that allowed Max Verstappen to go from losing races at the start of the season to winning at the Red Bull Ring by around 20 seconds. But rather than attributing their newfound performance to a new rear wing, as they did in 2021, this time they claimed it was because of a new floor and a reduction in the weight of the car introduced after the summer break. In actuality, it's more than likely the Honda engine was improved with Red Bull, knowing that as the FIA turned a blind eye in 2021, they do the same in 2022. The worst part is that Red Bull will probably keep upgrading their engines, improving its performance, and they'll just cap the power output to what's required to not raise suspicions. But I could be wrong. Maybe Red Bull's performance gains aren't from developments to the Honda engine. However, it's clear to me Red Bull are using the reputation of Adrian Newey to mask how these gains were achieved. McLaren team principal, Zak Brown, has been vocal since the winter break about the FIA needing to do more to police the close relationship between the Red Bull senior team and their junior team, RB Visa Cash App, formerly AlphaTauri. The current FIA checks aren't fit for purpose, and even they have implicitly admitted they need to do more. Because of the lax monitoring system, Red Bull effectively have access to double the wind tunnel and CFD time than any other team on the grid. Although the FIA won't admit it, the usefulness of the cost cap regulations largely depends on the goodwill of the teams, and it should be obvious to everyone now, after the scandal involving Christian Horner, that goodwill is in short supply at Red Bull. So will Adrian Newey leaving Red Bull bring them closer to the pack? We can all hope so. However, I doubt it. That's all, folks. If you like this video, hit the like and subscribe buttons to join this growing community of keen-eyed F1 enthusiasts. Thanks for watching. Till next time.